Hello there, great person. Welcome back to Let's Dive into Warhammer 40K. Today, we will witness, I guess, the fall of the Eldar. And apparently also their rise. So I'm gonna watch Luetin's video again because you all said, like not all, most of you said that Luetin was the one that had like this that you had the impression that it was deep enough to give lots of information, but also like I got some overviews about whatever is gonna happen here. And yeah, Horus Heresy will be. Don't worry, Horus Heresy will be the next thing, perhaps, or perhaps I will do the factions first and then Horus Heresy. But Horus Heresy seems to be such a big event. I would want to do it justice, and we will go there, of course. And before we start, thank you so much for all your support again, because we've just reached 1,500 subs, which is absolutely mind-blowing. And yeah, so thanks. There's a giveaway. You can just click the video here. It's like not a giveaway in the traditional sense, but I will write a horror story about a topic of your choosing. So I'm writing these horror stories, and they will be read by a great professional reader on YouTube, and he's such a great guy. I will link him in the description. Like, you can check out his channel, just support him as well. He's such a great, cool dude, and he's doing that. So I will write a horror story, and you can then listen to it down the line. So if you want that, be my guest. And if you want to check out the other stories, I don't know, link in the description, but whatever. We want to go to the Elder. So why did I pick this? And I think I said I wanted to do Horus Heresy and then the Elder, but this weird stuff that was going on last time, I just couldn't wait. And some people have teased some stuff. I think no one really spoiled it, so this is probably going to be a trip into Horrorland. And yeah, so I will, of course, link the original video in the description like that and watch it first, because I don't want to leech off Luetin. He's doing a great job, so give him the love as well. And we're going to start now with the fall of the Elder. They don't scroll, they fall and rise, apparently. Let's go. Yeah, there is only war and heresy. Sorry.
The Eldar, created by the Old Ones, who are the most knowledgeable beings in the universe, but were destroyed in a fanatical genocide by the Necrons and Satan.
Oh.
The Eldar stood victorious, the unlikely benefactors in a war of unimaginable proportions, and now found their race in complete dominion of the known universe.
Wow. And before you type it, I know there's a video called The War in Heaven, and I know you want me to watch that. I will down the line, but I will be okay with Elders for now. Can't do everything at once, you know?
After millions of years, fact and history are inclined to become cloudy.
Oh, wow.
The Eldar history is one steeped in mythology and legend, so it's fair to say that you could lend some artistic license around the events of this period. As the lore of 40k is also very complicated, we'll learn today about the ancient history of the Eldar up to the 41st millennium. I'll then cover their race of the current period in a separate video.
Yeah,
the War in Heaven
great.
Was over, and the Eldar stood unopposed in the universe.
Okay, I just want to look at the pictures again because they were cool. So we had these guys here. So I assume they're elders. Like, this guy looks like a sci-fi elf. I know they're like the elf equivalent in the future or something like that. But they've got these infinity signs on them. Why? Because they have infinite wisdom? Do they think that? Are they prideful? Yeah, let's find out. I love these. I think I've seen a figure like this. So that's pretty cool. And also this, like, so many different designs. So we have these guys. They look a bit weird. We've got cool tanks. We've got this woman. We've seen this woman before in another video. I wonder who that is. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. It's probably an important person. Like, she looks pretty badass. So I hope we will see her throwing lightning across the room many times in the future. Then we have this one. I wonder why his armor looks like this. Like, this is this almost Aztec or Mayan. You know, the Maya. So, and Aztecs, very South American style, I feel. And then this is the Infinity guy again, or thing again. I love the designs. Like, these designs are wild. The tanks also look pretty smooth. Like, the Earth tanks look like very mechanical, very engineered, and this is more like a bit magical. Like I think I assume they wanted to transport this elven magic that you normally have into the future, and I think they managed that beautifully with the art style here. So, but yeah, that's just something I really like.
Cover their race of the current period in a separate video. The war in heaven was over, and the Eldar stood unopposed in the universe. In this time, we're speaking of the ancient Eldar. This is an important distinction to make between the modern Eldar of the 41st millennium. Ancient Eldar held a different mindset and outlook on their lives, and with good reason.
Why?
Reason that we'll look at in due course.
Okay, that's
The ancient Eldar had been crafted and refined by the old ones for one purpose alone, and that was to destroy their enemy with vast psychic ability.
What is their enemy? Are they talking about chaos? I don't know. I know it's probably in the War of Heaven, and you're gonna shout at me, yeah, just watch that. But I will. But I want to guess a bit. So I think it's interesting that the parallels are here to elves so strongly. Like, if you know they're supposed to be elves, you instantly see it. It's like in Lord of the Rings, the old gods created elves. You know, basically the same thing. Which is like a brilliant idea by Tolkien. So
it is possible that the Eldar gods spoken of at this time were actually weapons created by the old ones for them to wield. This is the version that I subscribe to.
Okay.
As a result of their naturally powerful psychic
cool.
ability from the old one's intelligent design, the Eldar are gifted with also unnaturally long lives by humanoid standards and intellects which would enable them to create some of the most precious and complex technological advances in the universe.
So, question about that. They are like technologically advanced beyond belief. Is that the same as every technology far blah 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 is indistinguishable from man? You know what I mean. You know the sentence. I've said it too much in my videos, like all of them, like also other topics, because that's a very true statement, I guess. So this applies here probably as well. Like, I can imagine that some of their magic that we will feel from them, perhaps, will come from so high technology that we don't know. That's so cool. I love that trope. I love it to death. Though it's a trope.
The next events are particularly confusing. In essence, the Eldar gods, which it appears were initially immense psychic weapons created by the ancient Eldar with guidance from the old ones. They became living gods, such was their immense psychic energy and connection to the Eldar. The Eldar of the current day seem to have lost through the mists of time and their mythology this fact that the gods they worship were potentially created by themselves, albeit in their earliest, most ancient form, either directly or indirectly.
That is so cool. Also parallels to humans, because in humans, like not completely, but the Space Marines, as far as I know, have been seen as angels, as well as angels of the God Emperor. Of course, the Emperor is the god here, but like their ultimate weapon is like very godlike. Like they what do you say? They honor or they pray to. I didn't find the right word, but they like seem to hold these ancient, very powerful weapons in very, very high spiritual regard, which I like, because it shows that the times they live in are so marked by war that a weapon is the most godlike thing you can have. So I just love that. It's such a cool detail for this like grim universe of war.
Each of the gods was known to gift the Eldar a trait and be part of their development. Eldar mythology states that Azuran gave the Eldar wisdom so that they may know themselves. Isha gave the Eldar love so they may know one another.
So they know love.
Gave the Eldar the artifice as a means to make their dreams become realities. Lilith gave the Eldar joy so they'd be happy in their lives. Kurnus gave them the ability to desire so that they would prosper. Murayheg gave the Eldar foresight so that they would know their place in the world. And lastly, Cain gave the Eldar anger, so that they may have a means to defend their gifts.
Okay. You already know which question I'm gonna pose, I assume. Are those gods and the gifts they gave them, how are they connected to the warp? Like, why? Why, like, if this is true and they were gifted the emotional aspects that connect them to the warp, is it like, were the gods connected to the warp and wanted them to be connected to the warp? Like, what was the aim? Why would they create them connected to the warp? Is it because the warp is such a strong thing, entity force, that they wanted their creations to use it to prosper and be powerful? That's actually what I think, but perhaps I'm wrong. I don't know.
It then becomes even more complicated, though.
Okay,
The Eldar
great.
in their legends refer to a time of war between their own gods as the War in Heaven.
Okay.
Now, this is particularly confusing, as you remember that the war between the Old Ones, Necron and Satan, is also referred to as the War in Heaven.
Is it not the
Now,
same?
it seems likely that these events occurred during a period of cataclysmic war across the universe, and at the same time have caused this period to have a blurred point of reference. And when you
Okay.
consider this is all meant to have taken place some 60 million years ago, it seems very feasible that this would occur. The Eldar have focused more on their own gods in this time than the events between the Old Ones and Necron-Satan alliance. Given that the Eldar lost respect and communication with the Old Ones during the war, this would make sense, and that they
Okay.
potentially could lose some information about the period through the vast timescale and various events that have befallen them.
Yeah, like 60 million years, that's like so much time. Like, Jesus Christ, how much is that? How much is that? Like, it's even it's going to timescales where it's like the lifespan of Earth. I think Earth is 2 billion years old or something like that. I might be completely wrong, so don't hold me to that. But but still, 2 billion is like only one order of magnitude more than 60 million. It's like so much time, such an unbelievable amount of time. And that begs the questions, do they have archives? Do they have things that store the knowledge? Or is it like, because if you have 60 million years of knowledge transfer, it's like it will like lead into myth. So all they know about the past might be myth and might be like blend of what really happened and what they like tell themselves to make them feel better, or to like ingrain warnings into their culture or whatever. You know, you don't even know what's real anymore. If it's 60 million years, like, you won't have a video from back then. Like, no way. So interesting. I love the idea already. What a cool thing to have them be this old. Also, Necrons are apparently then this old as well, which is okay. I mean, Necrons seem cool as well.
Instead, they're focusing on the mythological aspect and their own gods,
yeah,
which are arguably
makes
of much
sense.
more importance
Yeah,
to
yeah,
the collective
yeah.
Eldar consciousness.
Right, brilliant.
The legend of the Eldar gods is very much one of mythology, so I'll cover that in a smaller subsidiary video.
Good. That is so
what
good.
I will say is
it.
that there was a period of strife amongst the Eldar gods pantheon. You'll hear that word a lot in reference to the Eldar gods. It simply refers to a council or circle. Think of the Greek gods of Olympus.
Yeah.
Now, this dark period of bloodshed and war was not just among the gods, but also against the Eldar themselves.
Okay, but coming back, I just realized they have this strife thing as the humans have. So they had like something that there was this terrible event. Here it was a war with humans. It was AI rebelling, and then the war being effed by these guys apparently. And then after this darkness, there was this age of strife for them as well, I guess, which is a nice parallel. I love this. This is so cool.
This not only divided the Eldar from their gods, ceasing their ability to guide them. This period was a disaster in many ways, but the whole series of events was caused by a misreading of foresight borne by one of the gods.
Oh no.
Now, this miscalculation, in my opinion, actually doomed not only the gods themselves, but also the entire Eldar race. And I'll elaborate on all this in a future mythology video and what its implications were. Now, as I said before, the origin of the Eldar gods is one of speculation, but I believe that these were weapons gifted by the Old Ones, or at least guided in creating them for the Eldar, and were masses of incredible psychic power.
Yeah, so they got their super weapons. Why? Because they were supposed to aid the Old Ones in the war, I assume. And what I initially wanted to say is it's the same. Same with the Emperor. He had this vision as well, as far as I know, and he like ended up not good. And they had this vision here and they misinterpreted, which is, I love that. So it's not like, here, this is the vision and it's gonna come to pass. No, you can get stuff wrong and it will royally F you in the A. So that's pretty dope. I like it. It's not like peachy stuff and sunflowers or whatever. Of course it's not. I mean, I know that much. It's not going to be like very peaceful and stuff. But yeah, I really like that. I really like the idea of prophecies being misinterpreted and effing you over. Like with Star Wars, same thing. Like they misinterpreted the Chosen One and then Darth Vader and the Empire rose. Like small scale catastrophe, so to speak, but still very nice.
But when eventually the Eldar were left without the influence of the Old Ones, who had by then been extinguished, these masses changed from mere weapons to sentient life forms, the gods of Eldar civilization. Remembering that these powers were first created to combat the Satan, gods powerful enough to devour stars themselves, it stands to reason that the psychic weapons created for or by the ancient Eldar could transition to powerful entities within the Eldar race, given their immense psychic force.
Yeah, wow.
Whilst we refer to them as weapons, it is not to say necessarily that they would have just been offensive. They could have been shielding, protective, or informative. Yeah. And given the specific nature and description of each of the Eldar gods, I'm inclined to think that this is the case, and that these so-called weapons each had a function to bolster the Eldar in combating essentially what was an invincible army.
This reminds me of the Asgard. Like, I don't know if you've seen Stargate, but in Stargate it's like the Asgard, like they place down objects on primitive planets to protect them, and they are like weapons. Like Thor is a weapon there. Like it in the end he's not, but he's a being. But they first think that it's like Thor's hammer is there, and it's this weapon of God's wrath or whatever, and it's just a technology placed to protect them. I get Stargate vibes. That's good. I love Stargate.
So just to recap,
very nice.
During the earliest days of the Eldar, the Old Ones had helped them to develop and craft their psychic powers, knowledge, and skills.
Yeah.
Over time, though, and because of the war in heaven, the Eldar were left more and more to themselves to develop and advance. When the Old Ones were destroyed, they were at the point where they left entirely to forge their own way forward in the universe.
Yeah. Make your own fate.
After the war in heaven, that was the war of unimaginable proportions. Once that finished, and the Eldar had defeated the Necrons, the Satan was shattered across the universe by the Necrons, who then retreated into their tomb worlds, leaving the Eldar as the most powerful force in the universe, with forces able to crush any who opposed them.
And then puny humans come.
To this would be the Roman Empire in its advancement and strength over any other society at this time. Now, this situation obviously leaves the Eldar in an advantageous position in terms of societal advancement and growth. And grow they did, both in their technology, population, and most importantly, their collective psychic power.
Yeah, and Romans were also...
Another problem at this time for the Eldar would be their gods, who were powerful psychic creatures and had up until now aided and guided the Eldar.
Looks like a Sith.
Some of the more powerful ancient Eldar, like the earliest of their race, spoke to these gods in first-person terms and even fought against them.
Oh, okay.
But all of this was to end. The gods were no longer entities that were able to assist and help shape the Eldar as they once had.
Why?
Now they could only be contacted through spirit stones and help guide them in a much lesser way.
Why?
So the Eldar would now enter a period of previously unequaled growth, a golden age in which they would spread their knowledge and culture wider than any that had gone before it. Such was their own dominance that over millennia they filled themselves with a great arrogance, a sense that all other races were below them, and that all around them stood evidence of this, both in their technological success, their psychic powers, the beauty with which they inhabited new worlds far and wide.
Yeah, they're getting... This is going to be so bad. It's just gonna be so bad. Like, being this prideful. Yeah, I'm the king of the universe. And then the god of the universe comes and, like, hits you in the face. Yeah. Yeah. So I think we're gonna get into the part now where I will probably be quite disgusted. So, yeah. Let's brace for impact, mates.
They were at the pinnacle of achievement, both technologically, culturally, and in the
I'm
size
a bit
of their
anxious
empire.
now. It's gonna be
They
so
not only
bad.
lived long lives, but when they did die, their souls would return to the collective ether to be reborn into a new body, a psychic reincarnation.
What, ether? Is the warp just one? Like, is there this, let's say, let's call it ether. I would have called it ether anyway, but they called their warp thing ether, I think. So there are, like, let's say there are emotional dimensions, some of them. One is the chaos, one of them is the ether. Is that correct? So do they have their own? Because it's, again, their minds seem to be connected to this ether and not the warp. Or is it the same? And are they just calling it that because they're, like, older and that's their word for warp?
This enabled the Eldar to achieve a height of cultural technology that would nor could ever be equaled again. Over the vast periods of time involved here, literally millions of years, the Eldar reigned supreme. Their strength, pride, arrogance, and avarice
Double
grew.
the pride, double the
Their
fall.
sensibility and self-control waned and became less and less. Their race was so advanced that they no longer needed to perform any physical or menial tasks, nor did they need to work to support their society.
Ah, interesting.
Their
I
only
love it.
causes were either self-betterment, the pursuit of knowledge, and most often of all, to indulge their desires, no matter how extreme.
Okay, great.
Now, whilst this may seem a deplorable thing, you must remember that the Eldar have far more powerful and overbearing emotions than humans, and this
Oh,
would lead
that's
them to
bad.
indulging in ever more perverse ways to satisfy their desires, both through violence, cruelty, torture, sex, depravity. It became harder
What?
and harder for these extreme fanatics dedicated to dark pleasures to satisfy their decadent desires.
Oh, God. Okay, so here we go. This is a speech. It starts brilliantly gruesome and disgusting already. Just a quick thought I had before, I want to add it here. That's something that, who was it? Orwell, George Orwell wrote about this. He wrote, like, about the worry that our technology would lead us to boredom and exactly this. Like, he predicted something like this as well in his book Road to Wigan Pier. He says in the end, but he thinks that, yeah, what if our technologies would take away our work, make life easy, and would we just, like, lie somewhere and, like, just die or like be corrupted by desires and stuff? And his answer was no, we would find something to do and something meaningful to do. I mean, that's not contradictory to, like, finding horrid stuff to do, but still, I mean, you have to find another goal in life if it's not work. So, and they apparently found their goal in disgusting things. But I hope we will not get into much detail, but because why? But yeah, I've stalled long enough. Let's just get into this. Okay.
So their
Okay.
acts became more violent and more creative.
Oh, great.
Soon, the streets were literally running with
What
blood.
are you,
And
mate?
the insane bloodlusting roar of the swathes of citizens could be heard throughout the Eldar Empire.
Why though?
Now, as you become
Oh, God,
desensitized
mate.
to something over time, you have to push it further and further to achieve any enjoyment
Yeah, this
from it at
picture
all.
again. You
And the
weirdos.
Eldar in their lives, where they had literally nothing other to do at this time than pleasure addiction, was like a disease infecting the whole of the Eldar race.
Ah,
The
yeah.
Eldar slaughtered one another at the slightest whim and feasted on the corpses of their fellow kin.
Yeah, of course.
All the while,
Of course.
the world burned around them.
Yeah, and they probably jumped into the fire. Were like, oh, this is so painful. Yes, love it. Burn me, burn me. Yeah, look at this person here, this elder person. It's like, look at the fire. I need fire. I need you on fire, and me. Let's set everything on fire.
Cults dedicated to nightmarish depravity grew rapidly across the Eldar society.
Like
Whole lands
Cenobites.
fell to the different aspects of arcane
Yeah,
knowledge
yeah.
and sensual excesses. billions upon billions of Eldar, numbers greater than you can possibly imagine, spread across worlds throughout the universe, all cascading towards the darkest epitome of emotional worship.
Oh god.
Even before this time, it had been prophesied that the Eldar would fall. The Old Ones warned the Eldar about it, but their predictions and warnings were forgotten, dismissed, and ignored over time.
Yeah, didn't make it into the
However,
myths.
it is not to say that all was a hopeless mess of suffering and exorbitant pleasures. Whilst many had slid into chasms of depravity,
Cool
there were many
designs
who
again.
focused still on improvement, development, and the core tenets of the Eldar race. Discoveries by the Imperium of Man have found hints at just how far the Eldar had advanced with their technology.
How far?
One of these ancient devices enabled the user to literally will anything they could imagine into existence, drawing on their vast psychic powers. If you could imagine legions of Eldar Guardians that would
Grammy.
appear and be real and physical and have mass, you could build endless streams of fleets, even whole cities. Whatever your imagination could be, you could create it using this highly advanced device.
Okay, yeah, so they basically all turned into Grammy Thermal, which is fine. But why didn't they, like, what did they just say, hey mates, what are you doing here? You're like killing things, torturing things, and like setting things on fire and like burning things alive and like skinning things. No, I'm not gonna do that anymore. You do your stuff, be happy with it. We're gonna F off to another galaxy, bye. And then they like take this device, imagine a god ship, whatever, and just fly off. Like why did they not, like, how would they have been beaten? Like these advanced Eldars, how would they have possibly been like beaten? Like, were they corrupted as well? Because he phrased it like they weren't, so they probably just effed off and like were like, no, mate's not gonna do that. So cool.
But on discovery of this device, it was deemed unusable. It had been tainted by the forces of chaos, of darkness. The idea of using such a device of such devastating power, that whilst it had been touched by chaos, is an unthinkable one for the Imperium. It goes to show, though, just how far the Eldar had developed.
Look at this thing.
And who knows what other advances
God, it's so ugly.
of similar genius they had created, but have since lost.
This thing, like, this is nightmare fuel. Like, look at the eyes and the teeth and the weird armor with the spikes. It's like it came straight from hell. Like, this reminds me so much of Hellraiser, the stuff with the pleasure emotions of torture, and you know what I mean. It's like exactly like vibes from Hellraiser, which I love. Not seen the new one, but supposed to be probably good, I guess. Love that, but I love the idea
this
of
period
Hellraiser.
of wonder
so
and decadence, however, could not last.
Dark.
Some saw it coming, although perhaps not quite understanding the gravity of what was to come. A group of Eldar known as Exodites concluded that the Eldar had grown to disgusting excess, and so left the homeworlds to live on fringe planets.
Oh yes,
in a
some
more
did it.
Sustainable, pure existence.
Yeah, they understood, like I did. They did follow my plan. I hope they're still alive and have their farms and like their sunsets and all is peachy for them.
At this time, a great many more of the Eldar began to grow uneasy with the numbers and severity of the degradation of their society. Their seers, who had powerful precognition, warned that this dark path would lead surely to evil and suffering for the entire race. Yet more Eldar left the homeworlds of their empire, considering the remaining society unsalvageable and beyond help.
Yeah, but didn't it already, like, they all, like, eviscerate each other? Isn't that already pain and suffering for the race? Like, what were they warning about? I mean, what?
They built great starships so massive they were near artificial planets.
Wow.
These are referred to as craft worlds.
Oh, that's where they come from.
Some of the strongest Eldar stayed on the homeworlds to selflessly try and alter the path their race had taken, believing it to be not too late to save their society of beauty from whatever horrors would lay ahead.
I've got news for
Surely
you.
the Eldar could not be destroyed. How could the Guardians of the Galaxy fall when they had the most advanced technology, the most knowledge and power?
So big it will definitely fail again.
So you see, the ancient Eldar drifted from guidance by the Old Ones too early. And despite the warnings from the Old Ones, the sense of what could happen was never truly instilled into them. This, combined with the fact that their own gods took over as the primary religion within the Eldar, meant they lost and ignored the truth of what they could face
That's
if they
very
did not
tragic.
control their extremely powerful emotions.
Yeah, that's so tragic.
Remember that the Eldar were created for one purpose: to destroy the Necrons and Satan through the use of psychic power and warp manipulation.
Yeah.
They
Weapons
all
that
have
live
a
too long
powerful
again.
link to the warp, this parallel dimension of malleable energy. Over millions upon millions of years of sliding towards depravity,
look at it.
the Eldar's psychic emanations began to create form.
Oh, I love the war picture. Oh, look at it. I want that as a poster in my, like, people would probably think I'm weird, but I would like take this picture, like I would frame that like this size. I would frame it and put it above my desk. I think this is beautiful because it's like it's not really disgusting or horrifying. It's just ethereal or ungraspable. It's a very good depiction of cosmic horror. Like, you've got your classic tentacles, but the tentacles have teeth. You're gonna start somewhere, and then this weird, like, part of space that's like, I don't know, mushroom cancer or I don't know, whatever. Then we've got sentient lightning, and Jesus, look at it. It's so beautiful. And oh God, we've got another weird creature thing here. Ah, I love this picture. I really love this picture. That is so well done. Like, whoever painted this, I love you, mate, or girl. Doesn't matter. And whoever painted this, I love you. This is so beautiful. Wow. Wow, this is so good. Like, this is probably my favorite piece of art from the series till now. This is so good. This is whatever. I'm sorry. Let's go.
This was
So good.
continually added to and
So good.
strengthened as things became progressively worse in the Eldar Empire. Souls of departed Eldar cultists and sacrifices forming a massive ball of negative psychic energy.
Yeah.
This would cause such an imbalance within the warp dimension, it would actually create the immense psychic storms which humanity at this time would define as the Age of Strife.
Yeah, so cool. By the way, physics again. You have to endure a little physics lesson again, and you probably know this, but like winds and storms are created by different differentials of like pressure and temperature. So this is the concept of an abstract level. So of course, if there are places of this very dense emotional part, like whatever thing stuff, and other places like there are gonna be giant storms because they want to like level out whatever physics. It's physics. Whatever.
Without understanding it, they actually had a massive effect on other races at the time. The Eldar still had their webways to travel through the universe, but for any other races, interstellar
Through the
travel
ether, I
and
guess.
communication was rendered impossible by the high level of disturbance in the warp energy. This would last for millions of years and a hugely disruptive event for many other races. So, thanks for that, Eldar.
Yeah, thanks, Eldar.
But
You were
despite
so
the most selfless efforts of the strongest Eldar back on Homeworld, and the cause for the endless emotional excesses to end, it barely abated.
Aww.
It became worse and worse, a downward spiral of disastrous proportions.
That's so
Now,
sad.
to any big society, this kind of horrific abuse would be a problem, but it was worse than could have been imagined for the Eldar. This mass of psychic energy that had been growing in the warp was now to reach a point of criticality.
Aww.
It would explode as it transformed inert psychic energy to a living consciousness of pure
Yeah,
heat,
that's the god
suffering,
thing.
and decadence.
Yeah.
A reflection of the Eldar's millions of years of societal abuse and hedonism given nightmarish form.
And now this show Gamma Ray, of
The
course.
psychic scream of the birth of Slaanesh was to be so powerful it would literally rip the fabric of the universe in two. It
In
tore
two.
the souls of the Eldar within 1,000 light years, slaughtering the greatest number of Eldar in an instant.
That's not that much. I'm sorry, that's not that much. 1,000 light years, what is that? 100 planets? 100 habitable planets? Probably. Like, 1,000 light years, planet every 4 light years. Let's calculate. I'm sorry to be a party pooper, you know I'm like that. Oh, perhaps it's more like 250 planets. to the power of 3. Okay, that's pretty. Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot. Okay, I take that back. I take that back. So that's a lot. That's a lot. But it's less than I thought. Like it's a lot less because I think the galaxy, how like wide is the galaxy? Several million light years. So 1,000 is not that much compared to a million, but still a horrific event. Horrific event. And their souls were torn from their bodies, probably ripped into the warp, and there they became demons, I guess, or did they just go into eternal hell? Gonna tell me, and you're gonna tell me, yeah, I should have listened, like just carried on, but I want to guess. So.
No one knows the figures involved in this loss, but it could be no less than trillions of lives, not to mention all of their homeworlds, and some of the craftworlds who had not even travelled far enough were annihilated in an instant.
Oh, that's bad.
Their research and technology destroyed. The wonders in their culture, which had stood for millennia, obliterated.
Slaanesh.
The Eldar gods, who despite being separated from the Eldar, still cared and protected their followers, tried to combat and defeat
that is so
Slaanesh.
Cool, picture.
But
yeah, they tried to. How are they gonna like defeat this like sexy woman with great personality that can like spit out gamma ray bursts? Like these are obviously supposed to be black holes, I guess, and these things are gamma ray bursts. So they're just gonna like they're like the sharpshooters of the universe, gamma ray bursts, and you've got the Azathoth eyes here again, like this eldritch entity that is just using this as a puppet, this figure, I guess. So this is Slaanesh here, this weird thing, and you've told me it's an it. Of course, it has no gender, but yeah, beautiful picture again. I love it. Really like this drawing, but yeah, it's pretty scary. It's pretty scary.
all were slain or shattered.
Yeah.
Apart from just a couple of their gods who managed to escape the horror.
Oh, gods escaped. Wow.
The Eldar
okay.
had truly lost everything in an instant. Only those who sheltered at distance in the wraithbone hulls of the craft worlds and Exodite planets were spared.
Yeah, the Exodites,
leaving
they
only
were
a
smart.
fragment of the Eldar behind. The Eldar race did not just fall at this time, it was nearly wiped from existence.
Yeah.
The only other survivors were ironically the Dark Eldar. I'll make mention of this specific Eldar group another time, but the Dark Eldar were essentially a cult or a mix of cults who worshipped the most purely depraved side of the Eldar. They were part of the many who orchestrated the fall of the Eldar. They had created a home for themselves within the Eldar webway, and this protected them from the immense shockwave as Slaanesh came into being.
What? How? If they were in the webways and weren't destroyed, how were the other ships destroyed that were in the webway? Like the other hive worlds, home worlds? The home ships. Or were they not in the webway? That's interesting. So they probably already, like, that's even worse. They knew what they were doing with their indulgences and stuff, and then they survived. Like, I kind of want to know more about them, and I also kind of don't want to know more about them. But yeah, that's probably nasty literature to read.
But this was only the beginning. The horror of what had occurred would not only haunt the Eldar for many millennia, but it would also unleash unseen nightmares into the reality of the world.
Thanks, Eldar.
Until
again.
this time, dark forces from within the warp could only transition to reality by channeling themselves through a psyker or being summoned as so. With the warp and reality torn apart, these two now merged, and the horrors of the warp could easily bleed into the material universe, corrupting, destroying, and ravaging.
So
it is
bad.
also said that the Eldar homeworlds still exist, lost within the realm of the warp and chaos, suffering a never-ending nightmare of their own making, of pure demonic suffering for any Eldar who remain there.
Yeah, that's true horror. That's
the tear
so
in the
bad.
warp dimension and reality would be known from this point onward as the Eye of Terror, and gave birth to the gateway for the myriad of forces known as Chaos.
That looks so cool. Someone mentioned this as well, and I'm sorry for not remembering names in the comments. I'm very bad with names, but I know like that someone told me that this is this was new lore apparently, and so the galaxy was split. Yeah, so thanks to whoever that was. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, it's also cool visual, like also like this dust trail here. I really like the aesthetics of that. Very cool. Sorry, also it makes sense that it like wrecked the galaxy, because normally it would, like a shockwave that's not traveling at light speed would take like millions of years to like travel this distance. But because the warp is in everything, it could like instantly instantaneously rip apart the galaxy, which is, yeah, that's like, so I've not seen a lot of sci-fi stories where this was done well, and here it is. Of course, I mean, they have to have physicists writing this as well. I bet they do, because this makes sense. Like it's like in Star Trek, that made no sense. Like Romulus blowing up in Star Trek from 2009, and like the shockwave, and Spock flew away from that. They have warp there faster than that. Like it takes ages to reach other planets. Like, but this here, it makes sense, and that makes it even more horrifying. They found a way to make this make sense in in the real world, and this is horrifying, like splitting a galaxy. Like, Jesus, mates, couldn't you just keep it in your pants or whatever you did?
This devastating
Or in
event
your
had a wide-reaching effect on all races in the galaxy and was far from over in the history of the universe of 40k. Since this time of darkness, which the Eldar refer to as the Fall,
why is there a
it is
clown
spoken
man?
of understandably with sadness and humiliation.
Yeah, I'm sorry, this picture is just so breathtaking again. Like, this looks cool. This is like a demon spawn again. Don't know what it's doing, but this guy here, he looks like he's having fun. I guess this is one of the dark ones, the Dark Eldar, because he is like, I'm having a battle, I'm gonna slaughter you. It's so cool. Looks a bit like the Joker and Nosferatu mixed together on crack. So yeah, that's these guys. They just try to step the demon thing. I mean, yeah, that's probably what you should do, like poke it until it doesn't like move anymore, and then still poke it because it's a story and it will get up otherwise. Always make sure it's dead.
The Eldar are now broken and a scattered race, lacking a sense of unity and coordinated objective. The Exodite world saw all of these events confirm that their choice to abandon the ways of technology and hedonism was the right one, and consequently they've slipped into a more primitive technological level of subsistence and just existence.
Wow. Oh, Tyranids.
Happy in its simplicity
Tyranids.
and with no interest for the power that caused their destruction.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm sorry. I know I paused a lot in this one. Tyranids, where are they from? I know there's like the story of, yeah, they are just the first wave, the scout wave, and they're already too much to handle. And what's the real thing behind them? Is that like, it's not chaos, I think. Perhaps it's chaos, or it is another dimension, like similar to chaos, but like chaos is a weird, bizarre dimension of emotion and reality, and perhaps the Tyranids come from something else, where perhaps things merged, like this hunger and like this lust for devouring, just devouring, created its own thing, its own god thing, and because it was created from another race, perhaps it did not take the form of these demon things, but of this like swarm of things that just eats everything, which is apparently what they do. So
the survivors of the Eldar homeworlds who had foresight enough to abandon their planets now drift through the stars in colossal nomad fleets.
Yeah.
And the more strict and organised of these are the craft worlds. Created prior to the Fall with the mission to preserve the true Eldar way of life, they're loaded with life forms, culture from their planet in both religion, biology, technology and politics. Each of these craft worlds remains independent of the others, and they have no commitments to one another. They
Again,
often
like the
ally
humans.
one another in times of need, but their society is very much shattered from the days of the ancient Eldar and is just a shadow of its former glory.
Yeah, it's the same thing again. It's like humanity did the same thing. Not exactly. Like the humans did it like because they didn't have warp drives. They like send out their colony ships that were like generation ships. And they here, the craft cities are similar because they don't seem to communicate as well. Though they, of course, chose that, but it's the same thing as the humans before they had warp a bit. Like they were thrown back so far. So good. I love the parallels the story, like the two races, the humans and the Eldar have. It's like the Eldar were the like what could happen if humans go too much into their psychic stuff. What might happen to them. I love it. It's like the dark mirror in front of the humans that the Eldars are in a way.
The process of reincarnation that the Eldar once revered is also no longer possible, as they discovered after the Fall that Slaanesh would snatch and devour their souls at the point of death.
Yeah, great.
This
Thank
prospect
you, Slaanesh.
brings utter terror to the Eldar, where once they did not fear death, as they knew their spirit would be reincarnated and their life's knowledge preserved. Now it could be ripped and consumed by the chaos god Slaanesh.
So can Slaanesh like sever their connection to the ether and take their souls like from their destined like cycle of rebirth, and like Slaanesh can just take it, eat it? What happens to that? And like, are they gonna become part of Slaanesh, or are they gonna be reborn as demons? I don't think so, but yeah, we will get to that when we go to Chaos, I assume.
To counter this horror, the Eldar developed Spirit Stones. These are the red orbs you'll see adorning Eldar armor, vehicles, and weapons.
Okay.
The purpose is to absorb and store an Eldar soul at the point of death, so that it can be then placed into a Craftworld Infinity Circuit as a life source of information for the Eldar, and to save that soul from Slaanesh, ever watching, always desiring. Now the Eldar have been greatly changed by the fall.
So there, what I thought dreadnoughts were, like you cleared that up, dreadnoughts are not like horrific things, but they say here that the souls like live hungering, so to speak. That's not good. Like you're in the computer, like at least it's not being corrupted and devoured by Slaanesh things. So I mean that's better probably.
And their society is still reeling from the sheer scale of the horror it created for itself.
Yeah, it also looks cool. That
and all the while Slaanesh is constantly stalking. They can never escape, and that's what they fear more than anything.
And they just
but Eldar prophecies state, though, that one day their gods, some of whom were consumed and destroyed by Slaanesh, others were lost long ago during the Eldar War in Heaven. It is said that they will one day rise again as the saviours of the Eldar, to see them take their place as the rulers of the galaxy once again.
It's like the Emperor.
Whilst this might seem a hope of a doomed race, it's not out of the realms of possibility. The Eldar are one of the most powerful races when it comes to psychic powers, and the Eldar gods, as you remember, were weapons designed by the Old Ones to combat the C'tan. So it's not somehow out of the realm of possibility that there's some truth to this. The Eldar gods could
use their weapons
recombine, resurrect
because
from the depths of the
technologies
war.
were based on psychic stuff.
And perhaps this period of ruin among the Eldar would be viewed more as penance than actually as ruin.
Yeah.
Now the Eldar had been shattered by these events and were left significantly weakened. To date, their fall had the largest impact, obviously, on themselves. But it's worth to keep in mind that the Eldar were the ones who originally caused the Necrons to retreat into their tomb worlds. They had since then grown in strength many times over. But since the fall, all of this was lost, leaving them significantly weaker and more scattered than ever at the end of the War in Heaven. This could still have far-reaching consequences as the universe of the 41st millennium faces new threats from the awakening Necron and the invasive Tyranid hives.
Yeah. It's a bit like Snyder Cut, where they start attacking Earth because Superman's dead. Because their protector's gone. Like the Eldar are the protectors of the like the galaxy, and they were corrupted and are now gone. So yeah, all the other dark things can start to develop again. I love that.
The Eldar's story is one which is far more significant than sometimes is given credit, and whilst many other empires are stronger than the Eldar in the current time, none are even close to what the Eldar had achieved with their own. The reality of the other younger and less powerful races such as mankind, Tau, Orcs, facing some of the most nightmarish forces in the universe is a sobering prospect.
Yeah.
The Eldar, if their prophecies of godlike resurrection and intervention prove accurate, could be the last true hope for the universe.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, great.
We'll be moving on from the Eldar now to look...
Okay, yeah. That was brilliant. That was very, 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 very good. Very interesting, very informative. That's so cool that the Eldar are like these fallen gods, something like that. And they were too prideful. This stuff is so cool. It's dark, of course it is, but it's very, very well thought through. Again and again, there are these like little lines he says, like Luetin, and kudos to him again, like he does such a fantastic job. And there are these little lines he says that make so much sense, like, and that fit so perfectly into the setting. Yeah, that's very, very, very cool. Can't wait. So what shall I do next? Which one? Do you want Necrons or do you want Chaos? I would say we do Necrons, War of Heaven. Like I said, Horus Heresy will be after the faction. So we have now, I consider humans done. I know there's a lot more, but humans are the biggest one, you know. So I want to do others first. So we've got Eldar now. We could go Dark Eldar, Necrons, Tyranids, Tau. Like, what do you want? What do you want? I'm satisfied a bit now with Slanesh, although there was not a lot of detail about the horrifics, which fine by me. Though I hope I will listen to them down the line, even though it's probably not going to be something on YouTube because that would probably not be uploaded. I fear. So anyway, yeah, let me know what you want next, which faction. And thank you for watching. Consider liking, subscribing, and growing with me and diving with me into this universe more and sharing these reactions perhaps as well. Yeah, cool stuff. Also, remember, if you want to take part in the giveaway, it's until the 1st February. Go to the link in the description and post your suggestions for a horror story. But yeah, love this thing. It's such a weird thing, but such a weird universe, but so well thought through. And the best thing was like that it was reminded me of the human history, but like more extreme and before humans. So perhaps they will learn from that. I don't know. Anyway, I hope you have a great day. Take care of yourself as always. Bye.